Hi Libra, welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot. Welcome to your cards for December. I'm honestly just gonna jump right in here because this reading is big. I mean, when I was pulling these cards, I could kind of feel the energy, and as well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 major arcanas in your 9-card spread and 3 aces. So, to say the least, December is going to feel intense. To say the least, you are up for a lot of change this month. I really feel as though, and even not so astrologically, because I think Libra's kind of getting some relief. And maybe that's what happens. Maybe because there's so many breakthroughs that occur within the month, ultimately what it's doing is bringing you a sense of freedom. I think 2021 is going to feel a little bit brighter, fresher, and easier. But there seems to be some hardships that we have to overcome, some completions, and it seems like it's more on a mundane level. So the funny thing is, we have all of these big cards here, big energy that's coming through. These are major obstacles in your life that are getting removed. However, they're not the big, fancy, awesome ones, okay? It's not really about like brand new love coming in or stuff like that. I feel like it's a bunch of loose ends kind of tying together so that the major changes can start to roll. I feel as though Libra has maybe been in a little bit of a fog. Now, I say that because we have that 6th house Neptune retrograde. And I think for the past couple of years, Neptune has been a little bit more difficult on Pisces on Libra than any other sign, because it's in its home sign and because it's in Pisces. And because we've been having, for the past couple of years, all of these Mercury retrogrades in water signs, making things even more confusing and fluid and almost spiritual or mystical like. There's a lot of not seeing things clearly or seeing things with rose-colored glasses. And this month starts out with a bang because, and it's probably that Gemini eclipse that happened in your 9th house at the very end, the last day of November. So we're still in that energy, and it's an eclipse. So we're going to be technically working on these themes for the next 6 months. Now, Gemini, your 9th house is your ability to manipulate your thoughts and beliefs. Things are changing in that area. You're starting to get a different perspective. And it's a really important piece to the end of 2020. It kind of starts to make sense. Like I said, we're tying all the loose ends together. Things are going to start coming together like puzzle pieces. And this is a very mercurial, logical month. It's very cerebral in course correction. Now, you are coming out as the Queen of Swords, and your environment is that of the Fool. And I think this is kind of a self-confrontation energy. I say that, and these cards might be some of the most important cards of the reading. I wouldn't normally bring them up right away, but I think this is kind of, it is a reflection of what these two cards mean. There will be acceptance in this month, and there will be the recognition of where you have been in denial, the Fool energy. Part of the thing with Libra, I think you've tried to be very optimistic. I think you've tried to believe the best in everybody. And December comes and it shows you where maybe those things didn't honor you the way you thought they would. There's probably things that you've been needing to confront, conversations you've been needing to have. Just the mere fact that you need to get things organized in your life, because Neptune in your 6th house can make things real fuzzy, especially when it comes to routines and schedules. Now, 2020, routines and schedules, it's been so fluid. Are we working from home? Are we going to the office? Probably having to learn new technologies, maybe not really fully grasping. Maybe you've been in a workflow where you've had to go into quarantine, had to take time off, and then get caught up. Maybe there are areas of your job or your daily life that you're not quite dedicating yourself to. Now, I like acceptance because I am learning to accept the things I cannot change, and that is that Queen of Swords energy, because that's the ability to have the higher vision, to see what's best for you, for your future. And it's kind of the energy of getting clear in your mind about what you want and what it's going to take to get there. I feel like the Queen of Swords is kind of starting to implement a day planner or schedule, or setting reminders on their phone, starting to make those to-do lists, taking it really seriously, and what we need to do to close out the year. Now, this could just be going over your Christmas list and making sure that you've gotten everyone taken care of. It could be looking over your budget after you've done your Christmas shopping and saying, yeah, I really need to get this under control. The idea is the Queen of Swords takes away the emotional attachment, the self-judgment that comes with all of it, and says, all right, I'm not going to sit in this place of, oh my God, self-loathing or blame or victimizing. It gets out of all of that energy, the kind of reasoning that we've been going through. We've had Mars retrograde in your 7th house, and that is a card of open enemies and contracts and not being able to initiate the things that you needed to initiate. This could even be parts of your business, if you're a business owner of any kind, where you've been really wanting to get new projects off the ground and they just haven't. Whether it's because of COVID or other extenuating circumstances, it just felt like you had a lot of momentum and then this giant brick wall. And so the final half of 2020, this Mars retrograde in your 7th house, has kind of forced you to take a look at yourself. Take a look at the things that you have been trying to plow through or ignore, because those are the things that you're going to have to face now. The Fool card, correlating with the card of denial. I acknowledge my fear, but I replace it with the insight of awareness. There's no doubt that, Libra, there's been things you haven't wanted to really look at. Now, we all kind of get into these things. Maybe you've had a lot of expenses or something come up in the past couple of months, and you really don't want to look at those credit card statements. You don't really want to do those expense reports. It's just those little things, and it feels very mundane. It just feels like it's the things that don't bring you warmth, they don't bring you excitement, they don't bring you passion, but they still have to get done. And you may not realize how much those things that aren't getting done are carrying weight on you. I think the universe is really pushing you to get through these things so they could start to bring in the new stuff. And there's no doubt, with 3 aces in this reading, that there is new stuff coming. There are new opportunities, there are new paths, there are new relationships, there are resets in almost every area of your life. So it's really imperative that you kind of take the month of December to kind of look at the little things, look at the details. Super important, because your astrology cards are Virgo, I analyze, part of fortune and increase, and the 6th house routine. 6th house Pisces is a very spiritual place. It's also a very creative place, and it's also a very nurturing place in our life. Now, you may have to start to face issues and reality about your health and diet. There might be certain health issues that are coming up that simply can't be ignored. Now, I'm not talking about illnesses or life-threatening diseases. I'm talking about the health of your body and your overall ability to enjoy a quality of life. So if you have things that are bothering you, toothaches, a bad knee, a bad back, lack of energy, now is a really good time to start to look into those issues. Now, I know 2020 has kind of been like, well, you don't really go to the doctor unless you have COVID, and then you don't go to the doctor if you do have COVID. It's been kind of a mixed message of how to best take care of yourself. As well, when our routines are kind of up in the air and we're all over the place, it's kind of hard to schedule in the self-care things that we need to do. Now, that could go as far as not eating a healthy 3 solid meals a day, not getting enough vitamins, nutrients, if you're constantly just shoving a cookie in your mouth to get through your day. I know I've been guilty of that. And sometimes you get to a point where you're like, man, I just don't feel good. I don't have the energy I used to have. I don't have the stamina that I used to have. And a lot of that has to do with that Mars retrograde. And what doesn't naturally come back to us this month, as Mars starts to move forward, it's going to become very clear where those roadblocks are. And maybe it is health and diet related. This can also be an increase in your call to serve and nurture other people in some way. If you are thinking of a job change, and it might be something more along the lines of health and wellness, dietitian jobs, even as much as starting your own videos for workout routines and stuff like that. I mean, that is all on the table for you guys. And it could be just losing weight or laying off the alcohol or finally accepting that you've been kind of overindulging in something in your life and things need to come back to balance. Now, this month is really all about finding your balance. Center card is a justice card. It's your card, and it's a guarantee that what you put out, you will get back. Now, that's to say that if you haven't been taking care of yourself, it will become extremely apparent this month. If you haven't been balancing the checkbook, you're probably going to bounce a check. If you haven't been taking care of your body, you're probably going to start having some pretty serious aches and pains. If you haven't been nurturing your relationships, they might start to get a little bit chaotic right now. The Justice card just says it. It's a level of karma that's coming through. Now, we have a very karmic sky. All year long, my Libra rises have been dealing with this 4th house stuff. 4th house, our home, our family, our emotional realms, our childhood. I mean, it's a pretty emotional house there. And we've been going through all the Saturn-Pluto conjunction all through 2020. And in the very beginning of December, we have Saturn and Jupiter together at the very last degrees of Capricorn in your 4th house. Now we're definitely in the realm of closing things off. And that's why it's really important to focus on the things that need to be done, the responsibilities that need to be taken care of before we start to move into this next phase, because we're stepping out of the 4th house energy, which feels pretty dense. And we're moving into a 5th house energy, which is going to feel like it's more enjoyable, like you could start to really enjoy life, focus on the things that you love to do. However, there's going to be boundaries and limits. Like anything, when Saturn is involved, it's really about the hard work. It's really about doing things the right way. It's really about integrity and honesty. So that's all coming into play in December in a pretty big way. And your first 3 cards out are that of the Ace of Swords, the 7 of Wands, and the 6 of Swords. Now there's a couple different things I can get here. It'll be different for everybody, but the Ace of Swords Seven of Wands is probably some kind of feedback, communication, or truth about things that you have been working on so far. And the Six of Swords is easy to assume that this communication is really going to move you towards a calmer period in your life. Things are going to start feeling less chaotic. Ace of Swords can be, like I said, the communication support from a friend. It could be letters, emails coming through that kind of forces you to look at maybe some ways that you've been a little bit self-defensive. Maybe there's areas of your life where you felt like you needed to compete for others' attention. Maybe there's just areas of your life where you feel, it feels like this sluggish energy, like I just have to keep going. And maybe this is tied into that area of denial. Maybe the Seven of Wands is you kind of refusing to accept that clarity and that truth that keeps trying to come to you. There's probably ways in which the universe is kind of sending you signs or saying, you know, hey, you might want to take a look at this thing. You might want to address this issue. And you might be in self-defense mode, in the mode of, no, everything's fine. Don't tell me what to do. You may not be super receiving of advice or signs from the universe this month when you're kind of clearing up that denial thing. But the thing is, you can't have the freedom from it until you really look at it. You can't have the freedom of it until you have the conversations. Maybe there's some kind of debt consolidation that needs to be done. Maybe you need to actually get your stuff together and go to a bank or talk to a lawyer in some way. Justice card can sometimes represent having to have legal issues taken care of. Maybe you're going to be forced to look at those end of the year reports at work. Maybe you're going to have to start looking at, sixth house can also represent your employees. And maybe you have to start really taking a hard look at your business structures, how things are being handled on a day-to-day basis. Maybe this is needing to find better processes for the way that you do things in your business or in your projects. This could also be about the home place. It could be about maybe knowing that you have to move. Maybe there's some of you that are in a situation and facing the realistic truth that maybe you have to leave a certain place, leave a town. Maybe you're having issues with a landlord of some kind, and you know that you need to put your place up for sale or find another place and start to implement the moving process. Even though that Seven of Wands makes me assume you're kind of fighting it in some way. There might be a situation that's coming up or an opportunity where you realize that in order to do this, you have to make some pretty serious changes in your life. And the Seven of Wands can also be an indication that they're not hard. This is where you're going to have to kind of buckle down. Going to have to do the hard stuff that you haven't wanted to do for a while. This is Libra kind of confronting those things they didn't want to look at. And by doing that, you start to move yourself into a place that is much more manageable. Even if it is a new home, I feel as though the change is much more peaceful. You may be stepping out, and maybe you have an employee or a family member or a roommate or somebody that's actually moving out or moving on. And with that, you may find a lot more peace. You know, you may not have realized how much chaos this person was causing. Now, this Ace of Swords comes out right above the Lover's card. For the past 6 months, Libra, you've had that Mars in retrograde in your 7th house of partnerships. So it could be a business partner, it could be a spouse or significant other, but nonetheless, there are choices that need to be made. And I think what happens is December and through eclipse season, you start to gain so much clarity that these decisions, even you being a Libra, these decisions become much easier. And the thing I like to see with the Gemini card is the ability to kind of find this place of inner balance. You know, the Lover's card is indicative of the feminine and masculine side working together in tandem to manifest the things that they want to create. Now, it could be finding harmony within a relationship. It could be getting the communication you need, the clarity. If you're maybe dating somebody new, you could certainly get the clarity you need this month to decide where and how you want to proceed with this. Either way, it is, if you look at this card, both of these people are naked, quite vulnerable, and in a high vibration. You know, it's an opportunity for abundance, and it symbolizes you putting yourself in the best position possible. Sometimes I get from the Lover's card the idea that you're in the right place at the right time. And it feels like there may be something new kind of coming in. Now, if you've in an established relationship, this could be the communication that you guys need to have so that both people can get back on the same page. You know, Mars retrograde in the 7th, I'm not going to lie, it's not a pleasant feeling. And this could also apply to roommates and best friends as well. If you have kind of been in this kind of tension, aggravation kind of thing, like, you know, we've been locked up, we can't really get out of the house, we can't travel, we can't go on vacations, we're together all the time. And this person that you love dearly may really be irritating the shit out of you at this time. And it's not purposely, it's like socks being left out on the floor, or, you know, just a little annoying things that they have always done. And yet it feels much more intense when we're in this mental mind state. And keep in mind, with all this Virgo, mental, cerebral, swords energy that you're in, it's likely that you're going to feel somewhat anxious, easily irritated. Maybe you're trying to focus and get things done, and people are kind of aggravating you or setting you up with some kind of obstacles and delays. It feels like for months you've been under this frustration of, oh, nothing is really cooperating, nothing's really working out. December, that's going to start to clear up. You're going to see it with your own two eyes. You're going to feel it, and I think it's going to start to move the momentum. Now, the Lover's card comes out, like I said, with that Justice card in the center of your reading and the Death card. So, first of all, there is a whole lot of change occurring in the middle of the month. Well, of course, we have that Saturn-Pluto conjunction moving all that energy from the 4th house into your 5th. There could be changes in your love life. There could be changes with your children. Creative projects, all kinds of 5th house stuff. 5th house stuff is the way that we play, the way that we enjoy or find entertainment. It's a card of Leo, often representing our children as well, and I think they've probably been in the focus, especially, you know, if you have children or if you're wanting children. All of that energy in your 4th house, in the middle of the month, things start to move not just into your 5th house, but into your 4th house too. Now we have Saturn and Jupiter moving out of the 4th house into the 5th, but we have the Sun and Mercury all starting to creep into that 4th house, meaning all the stuff that we've learned through 2020 starts to get implemented. Things start to become concrete. The things that we weren't willing to look at, we have to now. If there's any cracks in the foundation, it has to be addressed. Now, this is some pretty incredible energy coming from this line of cards. It is not typical for three major arcanas to kind of come out in a row like this. So I do have to tell you, when you are in this Virgo anxiety mental place, it's really important to pay attention to your thought process. Do not forget that you had this full moon in your 9th house, and this is a very mental place, and through the beginning of the month we still have all of this emphasis in your 3rd house. Venus is going to move into your 3rd house, communications, your mind. It's very important for you to start thinking in a positive way and thinking in a way that benefits you big picture. And that's kind of the balance this month. It's going to be about attending to the little minute details because you know and you have the big picture stuff in mind. It's seeing something that you want, seeing a goal that you truly desire, and knowing that you've got to do all this little stuff in order to get there. I don't know, maybe some of you are considering going back to school. And so there's a whole organizing of the finances, or trying to go through your schedule and try to figure out how you fit that in with the other stuff. And it's making space for the changes in your life. It's also the acceptance, and some of you may be going through a major career or job change. Maybe there's just a change within your employees. Maybe there's a rather large turnover at your work. But it's accepting that the changes are for the better. It's accepting that the things that happen now are ultimately for your benefit. This Justice card is the idea that this is where it gets interesting. We've got the 7 of Wands, which is kind of this feeling of self-defense, kind of digging your heels in, fighting for something. Maybe you felt like there is a lot of competition around you, if this is coworkers or friends. It's not the greatest energy, and it's definitely feeling like you have to constantly overcome obstacles. Now, if you are a Libra that has really done the work, if you're a Libra that's really been fighting for your self-care, for your best I don't know, I just get the feeling of some Libras that really knew what was best, really put the work in towards their healing, didn't spend a whole lot of time in this denial phase. And I think that's what this is. If you have been using 2020 to kind of face the areas of your life where you've been in denial, then the Justice card means that there will be rewards. Justice card means that there will be opportunities that come along. Rewards for your hard work. What you put in, you'll receive back. I also get the element of, if you have been kind of really putting yourself in a compassionate place, there are rewards for that as well. If you have been kind of really conscious over your energy and how you affect others, if you spend a lot of time being a very supportive partner or a very supportive friend, you may see an area in your life where that kind of gets returned to you in a form of good karma. You know, if you've been really holding things together for a partner that's been struggling, there may come a time in this month where they thank you for that in a way. It may not be an actual thank you, and it may not even be from them, but there's an element of a return, a karmic return. Now with that, the bad news is, if you have been avoiding this denial, If you've been avoiding those things you should have been working on, if you haven't been paying attention to the details, then I promise you, you're probably going to start to feel the consequences of that. Okay. That's where you start to like open those credit card statements and go, oh my God, I really need to deal with this. Any areas of like addiction or overindulgence, you'll just start to see that those things need to be dealt with. If there are areas in your life that you feel are no longer aligning to you, jobs, living situations, roommates, maybe you've had roommates for a long time and now suddenly you feel like I really just want a place to myself. Maybe you've been in a job for a long time and you start to realize that there's no way you could really make this work. You don't feel really happy here. Well, the universe in eclipse season is going to kind of make things happen that cause you to have to deal with them. And the thing is, now is a time where you really have to surrender and accept the change. Acceptance card is the fact that things will change. Nothing stays stagnant, nothing stays the same, and our ability to, and Libra, you always operate from a tremendous area of grace. So that's never a question. But I think it is your ability to show how vulnerable and graceful it is to go through the transformation. Even if reality is slapping you in the face, I feel like in the most positive way, Libra is able to say they are thankful for the experience. They are thankful for the eye-opening opportunity because it's an opportunity to grow. And I think the Death card means that you're breaking through some pretty incredible glass ceilings. I think that's really what this all is about. Exceeding your own expectations, facing the areas in your life where you really hold yourself back, confronting them. You know, if you're in denial about something, you don't look at it enough to kind of strategize your way around it. I see this oftentimes when I look at people's charts or people talk to me about astrology and they bring up this certain placement and they're like, oh yeah, but there's that. And so that area of my life is really never going to work out. And it's kind of like, that's really not how the universe works. They don't give you struggles just because that's how your life is supposed to be. Now, yeah, I get that there's karma and experiences and soul contracts and things that we're supposed to experience, but it all contributes to our ultimate growth. So it's not like life is just always going to be shitty. It's about finding the light within the darkness. It's about finding the balance. It's about taking those things that we maybe have ignored or not wanting to look at and embracing the challenge, because we know that ultimately once we get control over them, they live outwardly and not so much inwardly. I know that feeling of kind of being in a position of always worrying, you know, and if you are having financial issues, it's definitely the staying up all night wondering how in the world you're going to be able to pay these bills, keep your head above water in so many ways, and the anxiety can really just build and build and build within us. And so ultimately, the things that you're trying to avoid is kind of like a pimple coming to a head. Like, even though it's something you've been dreading for so long, there is so much freedom in the dealing with it. And finally putting those issues to bed and gaining control over them. The Death card is taking your power back in a situation. So believe me, you're going to get to the nitty-gritty in December, whether you want to or not. Now, the final card, and underneath, and this is pretty profound, there's this line here, and pretty intense. Ace of Swords, the Lover's card, and the Ace of Wands. So this talks a lot about polarity as well. I think this is the ultimate goal for Libra, to kind of find the balance between their being in their mind, the swords energy, and being in their heart space. And I think it's about implementing the ability to take action. Ace of Swords in the beginning of the month brings you the communication, the honesty, the truth, you know, whatever it is, the documents, the other people telling you things. And ultimately what happens is by the end of the month, it becomes the Ace of Wands, meaning you begin to have the ambition and the drive and the opportunity to change it. That comes out next to the Hermit card. The Hermit card coming out just underneath the Justice card. The Hermit card for me is always a reset. And again, more of this Virgo action, this Virgo energy, this analyzing, self-healing, nurturing kind of compassion. And the Hermit does always indicate that we're being led down a path. Might feel kind of unclear. Remember, your environment is that of the Fool. So there's a lot of newness coming into your life. Like I said, there are new phases that are coming. Whether people are leaving you, jobs, roommates, friends, whatever it is, you are making space, and you are also being somewhat guided to the next phase. Now, again, if you're somebody who has been in denial and this kind of stuff hits you rather hard and it really makes you take a step back, the Hermit card can kind of indicate a time period of cleanup. I like that Hermit card because it's kind of cleaning yourself up on the inside, clearing out all of that mental clutter, getting to the bottom of things, strategizing. And I think it's indicative of you kind of doing what you need at this time. There's also an element of destiny here that's playing pretty heavily. I think there's an area of having to face your fears, and the Hermit card does indicate that there will be light. There will be an illumination of things and people that are kind of not in your best interest, of habits or routines that you do that are not really serving you anymore. And with that, the Hermit card, which is somebody who really does take a good, long, hard look at themselves, how they contribute to the situation. If you're in a lot of debt, this is you kind of letting yourself realize how much freer you would feel if you didn't have all of this debt weighing on you. And so you start to strategize how to get out of it. It's also about it's not just about paying off the debt. It's about getting to the bottom of why it was created in the first place. What void are you filling when you're spending money? Or, if you have a certain bad habit, what is it really fulfilling within you? And how do you replace it with something healthier? It's not just about the little things, although the little things are going to create the bigger changes in your life. You're going to get confronted with the little things that makes the changes get bigger. And because of your ability to self-reflect and self-analyze this month, it's going to feel a lot bigger, and it's going to start to catapult you into areas of better and bigger, healthier changes. Now, I say that because underneath that Death card is the Two of Wands and the Two of Pentacles. It doesn't get any clearer than this, because this is all about making the positive decisions. Now, maybe you have two choices. Maybe you are choosing between two different people as far as your love life goes. Maybe you're choosing maybe you're making a choice between two different employees. Who knows? There's a lot of choices this month. You're being offered a lot of opportunities. I always see the Two of Wands as a doorway or a portal, an invitation to enter a different phase in your life. There's ascension And when we have the Two of Pentacles, you could oftentimes be rooted down in fear or denial and not able to walk through that path or walk through that door. And I think what happens in December is you start to see really clearly the things that are holding you back, the things that you are kind of attached to. There's no doubt that there will be the shedding of things. There's the making of space. Eclipse season always brings endings of some way. Like I said, we're doing a cleanup right now in December so that and I really believe like February and March is going to be a really beautiful and intense time for my Libras. You're going to see that the work that you do now, the things that you start to really take care of, the things that you no longer put on the back burner, they're going to be kind of your lucky charms or the tools that you need to get you to the next level. Now, the overall energy is this Ace of Cups. And this is about emotional fulfillment. And there's a lot here. I think that maybe Libra is stepping into a phase where once they clean up all this 6th house routine kind of stuff, there's an invitation. Oh man, it just feels like you don't realize how much this other stuff has weighed you down. And if you deal with it and you do the strategizing to kind of get out of it, to conquer it in some way, there's a heart opening, there's a freedom, and you start to invite the good things in life, the things that do fulfill you. It's almost as if all of this anxiety, maybe even severe cycles of procrastination, weighs you down so heavily that it takes away from your personal relationships. And once you start to see them for what they are, once you start to gain control over those things, correct those bad behaviors, confront the fears that you have and overcome them, the heart opening brings in new opportunities. Relationships will grow deeper. It could even be soulmates that you're making space for. People that are kind of members of your soul family start to come towards you now. And the Eight of Cups is definitely look at how karmic this is. This is just beautiful. Yeah. Eight of Cups is your ability to leave behind the things that no longer serve you because you're on a higher soul purpose. And the Hermit card also gives me the idea that you're being led down a path towards your higher soul purpose. There's really no resisting the change this month. I think the more you resist, the harder it's going to be. So I wouldn't fight it. Now, when I see an Eight of Cups and a Temperance card together, there is no doubt that you are being led. There's a higher power, and it's probably pretty important. And especially because we have all this Virgo energy and you have Virgo in your 12th house, it's important to pay attention to subconscious signs, your dreams, pay attention to what the universe is talking to you about. Now, there will be Ace of Swords clarity, and it might come from kind of not so clear places. Might be coming to you in dreams, in signs, in synchronicities, in some kind of strange way. Maybe maybe tarot readings, maybe astrology readings, whatever it is, maybe through meditation and spiritual practices, that you are being kind of led into the right place at the right time, which is also that Temperance card. There's, again, no need to really push right now. Focus on taking care of the little things. Focus on how much better you feel when you kind of get into a groove of healthy stuff. Eating healthier, nourishing yourself, being in positive friendships, keeping a positive mindset. And underneath that, we have the Three of Pentacles. Again, another indication that more people are coming into your life. This is all about releasing connections to the negative and allowing the positive stuff to move in. Your two animal cards that you got were the fox and the horse. I'm going to read these to you because they do a better job explaining it than me. The fox, smart, strong partner or mate, and a wise teacher. The fox is an enchanting creature with plenty of mystique to go around. Fox personalities are skillful in business and also make great teachers. They're quick to learn and adapt well to new situations. Foxes are ideal life partners as they commit to relationships for the long term, and their natural charisma keeps things exciting. Fox energy helps us to stay true to those most dear to us. When this card appears, reconnect to those that you love. Foxes don't do well when they slip away. I don't know why I'm stuttering through that. And that comes out right underneath that Ace of Cups. And I see a lot of tremendous growth and warmth and love entering back into your life. Now the Horse card. Oh, wrong one. Sorry, guys. Momentum and freedom, expansive energy and force. The horse represents the most masterful form of earth energy within the deck. It provides us with momentum so reliable, so supportive that you can ride on its back toward any goal, no matter how difficult the terrain. A horse personality is fully awakened, fully alive, and cannot be defeated. The horse's freedom becomes available to us when we hone and collect our energy through daily practice. Physical stamina, exercise, and mental focus, meditation are the secret weapons behind the horse's legacy. 6th house stuff, I'm telling you. The answer is in the routines for you guys this month, Libra. Like, if you could just set yourself some kind of a healthy schedule where you implement self-care in every way, you're going to be well on your way to success. Your final card is the Fork in the Road, and I'm going to read you the oracle message on this one. Every choice has a consequence. You've arrived at a fork in the road and you are being asked to come to a decision. Will you further your dreams by choosing left or by choosing right? Will you take the road less traveled or the one well worn by others who have come before you? This is your choice and yours alone to make. Circumstances and other people will not make it for you. Be present and do not avoid this junction, for it is an important crossroad. Take heart, as no matter what path you choose, you will have a rich and meaningful experience. All right. Wow, Libra, that was pretty crazy. I'm so glad I got to do that reading for you guys. I will be back about mid-month. I'm probably not doing the love readings this month. I think I'm going to focus more on what 2020 is going to be about, our spiritual growth throughout that year. It's a tremendous and exciting year, and it's much different than 2020, and I could hear the collective sigh of relief for that. All right, guys, I really do hope you have a lovely and wonderful holiday season, and I will be seeing you soon. Lots of love. Take care.